Somewhere in England, there is an unmarked grave. No headstone, no name, just earth. And beneath it, someone's mother, someone's child, buried by strangers in a shared pit. And you will find thousands of graves like that. People talk a lot about how the Victorians mourned. The black horses, the silk-lined coffins, the rituals of a society obsessed with death. But that story belongs to the wealthy. Nobody tells the other story. The other story is about the funeral of the poor. For the poor, a lavish funeral was a powerful status symbol, and they were terrified of a shameful parish funeral. To avoid being buried by the parish, a fate seen as the ultimate social failure, the working poor made immense sacrifices. Families routinely went without food, clothing, and heating to pay into burial clubs, which ensured a respectful funeral. In this video, we're using advanced AI to bring old Victorian engravings to life, so you can see this as something that actually happened. Stay until the end. It's a story about dignity and about what ordinary people did to preserve it. To understand a pauper's funeral, you need to understand what death meant in Victorian England. Death was everywhere. When someone died, the clocks were stopped, and a black crepe wreath was often hung on the front door. These weren't just superstitions. They reflected how society had adapted to living with death, day after day. In 1861, Queen Victoria's husband, Prince Albert, died of typhoid at just 42. She wore black for the rest of her life, nearly 40 years. Because she did, everyone else did too. Mourning became a strict social code, a widow's veil for the first year. Hatbands were categorized by their closeness to the dead. For the wealthy, a Victorian funeral was a comprehensive and elaborate event. The glass-sided hearse, hired professional mourners, called mutes, paid to look grief-stricken, engraved invitations on black-bordered paper. But all of this was far too expensive. A respectable funeral could cost several weeks' wages. For the poor, factory workers, dock laborers, workhouse residents, it was unimaginable. So, what happened if you couldn't pay for the funeral? The local poor law union stepped in. A thin wooden coffin, workhouse pallbearers, no headstone, no private plot. Instead, a shared grave, a deep pit where bodies were stacked with no earth between the coffins. An 1838 inquest in London described one such grave left open for 4 weeks, with room for 17 or 18 bodies. One day, the gravedigger was found dead at the bottom, suffocated by gas from the corpses inside. Another person who went to help him also died. These graves were not marked. Nothing to say a person had existed. Nothing to say they had a name. And on top of that, the Anatomy Act of 1832 made it legal to send unclaimed bodies to medical schools for dissection. Unless a relative came forward within 7 days with burial money, your body could end up on an anatomy table. Burial clubs appeared across Victorian England, mutual aid societies working like a basic insurance policy. Members paid a weekly sum into a communal pot. When someone died, the pot covered a proper funeral, not elaborate, just enough to avoid the shared pit with no name above it. There is a story that illustrates this point very powerfully. A dying factory girl, a member of one of these clubs, had her co-workers say there was no hope of her recovery. Before she died, they pooled their own money to buy a wreath for her coffin. They were very anxious for her to live long enough to see it. These women wanted their friend to know she would not disappear. Thomas Lacour observed that if the Victorian working poor saved for anything, it was for death. Families went without food and heating, keeping burial money untouched, because a funeral was the final statement on the worth of a life. If a family managed to gather enough, through the club, through neighbours, through years of saving, what they got was still far from the processions we tend to picture. No hearse, the coffin carried by family or neighbours, just the people who had known the dead, walking through the street in whatever dark clothes they owned. Dickens captures this in Oliver Twist, a poor woman's parish burial, a bare coffin, workhouse pallbearers, local boys playing hide and seek among the tombstones, leaping over the coffin. No one cares. For the very poorest, even this was beyond reach. The coin at the pub was sometimes all that stood between a person and that nameless pit. and sometimes even that wasn't there. We tend to look at Victorian death culture and notice its extravagance. The crepe, the jet jewellery, the photographs of the dead posed as if sleeping. At its core, it's quite simple. People want to feel valued. They want those they love to be remembered. They want their grief acknowledged by those around them. The wealthy had that guarantee through their money. The poor had to build it themselves, penny by penny, year by year. The fear of the pauper's grave wasn't about the grave itself, but about the fear of being forgotten. What those communities built, the burial clubs, the mutual aid, the factory girls pooling wages for a dying friend's wreath, is one of the hidden, overlooked stories of this era. The black horses and the ostrich plumes are remembered, but the poor aren't. Yet they should. Victorian death culture was always about more than death. It was about dignity, about who was seen, mourned, and remembered. The pauper's grave symbolized the system's ultimate failure to serve those it had already let down. The burial club, a few coins at the pub, was the answer those people gave back. If this video resonated with you, please like and subscribe. There are so many more stories like this one that will be brought to life. Thank you for watching.